Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Sreenidhi here with us, who's recently got into the Royal Bank of Scotland, which is a part of the Natwest group through her on-campus placements at VIT, and she's from the electronics department. Now let's look at the eligibility criteria of this company. So CSE and circuit branches were eligible, 70% or 7 CGPA in 10th and 12th, and 60% or 6 CGPA in the pursuing degree with no standing arrears. Okay, now let's go and talk to Sreenidhi. Hi Sreenidhi, welcome to my channel. Firstly, congratulations on your placement.
Thank you, Jishnu.
Yeah, so would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so my name is Sreenidhi. I'm a fourth year student pursuing electronics and communication in VIT Chennai. And I got recently placed in Natwest, a Royal Bank of Scotland. And Jishnu here is going to interview me today about the entire selection process.
Okay, so yeah, thank you. And would you like to tell us now about how many rounds were there and what the process was?
Yeah, I made notes for this. I have my notes. Yeah. So first of all, we applied in the official portal of VIT, that is Campus Interaction. So what the thing with Campus Interaction is that there are different fields. So we had already uploaded our resume and a lot of information there already. So not everyone who applied got the opportunity to give the exam. So like from everyone that applied, only 180 students were shortlisted from the applied list. So they mentioned they had some preliminary shortlisting criteria, but that was not revealed to us. Whatever their criteria was, we don't know. But they did some shortlisting, and only 180 students were allowed to write the exam.
Okay.
So after the exam, there was only one round for the exam. There were around 4 or 5 sections. 3 of those were MCQ, and then 3 or 4 were MCQ, and then there were 3 coding questions. One was easy, one was medium, and one was a hard level question. So easy and medium I was able to do, but the hard question, I think it was failing most of the test cases. Only very few ran, or maybe none ran. I don't remember clearly. But the MCQs were mostly from, I think, DSA information, DSA mostly, and few more topics. I don't remember clearly what the topics were, but there were a few different, very weird kind of MCQs. So there were a lot of MCQs. So after that, after shortlisting from the test, 12 were selected finally for the interview. So this was not a normal technical interview. It was, they mentioned that it was a competency-based interview. So it not only included the regular technical questions, for example, like OOPS and DSA and all that. They asked those, and additional to that, they also asked a few competency-based questions.
Okay.
So mainly, first of all, the time allotted for the interview was very less, only 20 minutes per student, because they shortlisted very few. Only 12 were selected for, 31 for the interview, 12 was the final selection. So in 31 students, it was 20 minutes per student. But like while giving the interview, it often went up to 30 or 40 minutes, but the time allotted was 20 minutes.
Okay.
So firstly, they asked about projects, about things in the resume. Like, for example, you have to be very careful what you mention in the resume, because they can pinpoint and ask anything. Even if you mention a single topic that you have not studied, that could be very dangerous for you. So first of all, they asked a little about the projects. So one of my project was a machine learning project, but the title, or rather the database that was used, had a connection with information security. But the project as such, it had nothing to do with information security, just the database. But this interviewer, he saw the word phishing. He saw the word phishing, and he assumed that I knew a lot about information security. So he started asking me questions deep into information security. So whatever you mention in the resume, even if it's not related, even if it's just mentioned in the project title, be sure to learn all of that.
Okay.
So after that, he asked a few questions from DSA, and then from a few basic data structures, some questions he asked, and then after that, machine learning also, information security, cloud, all those basic emerging technologies, some questions from that. And then finally was the competency part. So in competency part, what they ask is they give you kind of situational questions. Like, for example, what he asked me was that there is a person who is wrong, whose point of view is wrong, but he's trying to convince you or force his opinion on you. What will you do in that kind of a situation? So they tell a scenario, and you have to tell them what you would do if you were in that scenario. So Based on your answer, they will judge whatever if you're a suitable candidate or not.
Okay.
Apart from that, there was only one round. There was no HR round or anything. Mostly all the HR type of questions like introduce yourself, all those questions, technical and competency. Everything was covered
combined
in a half an hour to 35-minute interview.
Okay.
So after this, like 31 students gave the interview, and then 12 were selected finally. In the final thing, 12 students were selected. So that's the process. That's it. Mainly only the interview they asked a little different kind of questions other than a regular interview. This competency was a little bit new. So
competency in the sense, like, can you give an example?
Yeah, competency, that's the same thing. The thing that I told right now, situational based. They give you a situation and they'll ask how you will act or what you will do if that kind of a situation was presented.
Okay.
That's
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience. And do you have any suggestions or tips for people who want to get into good companies or in general?
So mainly placement season is a time of trauma, so I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's definitely a time of trauma and a time of stress, a lot of tension, and the most difficult thing is that for you people, the people who are watching this, the placements will be offline. We were the last lucky batch who got to give online placement. It was still a lot of stress, but I can't even imagine how it will be if it was offline, because all of you people in the Chennai campus, you will have to go to Vellore to write for the interviews and all, and even your exams will be in centers in the buildings.
Part office.
Like, you can't write in your rooms. So the main thing will be you have to be prepared, and don't think because the general idea of people is that dekh lenge, chalega, ho jayega, because all we do, we sit one night before the exam, and that's how we're used to studying. We study one night before the exam and we just write and then we forget the next day. But for coding, it is not something you can do in one night. It's not something you can take a crash course for. It's not like you will just start 10 days before and you can give the give the exam. That is not at all possible. It is something that you need to practice every day. A lot of hours every day. I didn't do. I started very late because of which it created a lot of problems for me, but don't repeat the mistake. It was a little bit easier for us because it was online, but in offline it is going to be very difficult. So at least start by December of the previous year, because it will start around in June or July. So at least by December you should start. There are many different very famous platforms like LeetCode, CodeChef, HackerRank and all. Choose any one thing and you start preparing as soon as possible and practice every day, because as the more you practice, the more confident you will be. When you have a time limit and the timer is running and you have to complete your code in the time, the more you prepare, the more confident you will be. So definitely prepare, and once you prepare this, you should also look into how you should present yourself in an interview and learn aptitude and all the other skills. Because even if you are a 5-star or whatever coder, even if you are an excellent coder, if you tank the interview, if you behave badly in an interview, that's it. That's the end of it. There is absolutely no use of all your stars in whatever platform. So after this, I would say make your resume carefully. As I said before, you cannot predict what point the interviewer will pinpoint and ask you about. So each and every word that you have mentioned in your resume, you have to be 100% clear about that thing, and you should know at least a little into the background of the topic. Like for example, as I told in my project, information security was not related to my project. It was completely about machine learning and different algorithms and all that. But still, he just saw that one word, phishing, and he started asking me something else randomly about information security. So you have to be very, very careful. Absolutely don't write things that you do not know about. That is a major factor for immediate rejection. So this, and then while you apply for companies, please check carefully, check the CTC, check the base value of the company, and check the location. Because if you give an interview, you get selected and you find out it's located in some remote place in India where you can't even go, then there's absolutely no use of all your hard work. So please check. It is not necessary to apply for every single company that comes. So please check, read carefully, read the job description, because there are many companies that whitewash the name. The role will be a very bad role, but the way they word the title, the job title will be very fancy. So don't be fooled by that. Check carefully, check whatever the pointers are under the job description, whatever they give, read it carefully. Check the job location, and most importantly also do check the CTC, because In a lot of companies, they just increase the CPC by adding all random things like a performance bonus or like joining bonus, all different kinds of bonuses, all rubbish things. They add that just to increase it beyond, to get it beyond 10 and get the label of SuperDream. Because in my placement, there were so many companies that were not actually SuperDream. Their base value was much lower than 10, but they just added random things like stocks and joining bonus and like random things.
First year bonus and all.
Yeah, all of this bonus. And that also they don't even specify clearly. It's usually vested over 3 years. It's something like 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs vested over 3 years. You won't even get that when you join. So these things, be very, very careful. If it's not clearly mentioned, if it's something fishy, then it's better if you avoid the company, because you will get hundreds of opportunities, about 600, 700, so many companies come. So if you miss one shady company, you are saving yourself in the future. So don't think about that. If the company is not very secure, if it doesn't look very secure, don't apply. Just leave the company. And also one more thing, if you apply for the company, don't skip the test, because VIT has done this time. Many students, they had a lot of students applied for an exam, but they didn't write the exam, because of which about 200 students were blacklisted just for not writing the exam. So if you are applying, write the exam, or at least if you don't want to write it, log in, randomly take some answers and then log out of the exam. So at least you won't get selected also, and there will be no problem of blacklisting, because once you get blacklisted, they won't unblock you for a long time, and you might miss out on a lot of good companies during that time. And then that's it. Mostly these are the most important things. For CSE people, you have no problem at all, because there'll be a lot of opportunities. For ECE people, just be a little patient, because the companies that come for us are mostly not that good. So we have to be very careful and see. Half of the companies are not that good. And always Google the company and read reviews of people who are already there in the company, or who already did a year or internship or something or anything. Read those reviews before you join, before you attempt, seriously consider any company. So these are the main things, and don't get disheartened. Placement is going to be hard. I won't lie to you. It's going to be very, very hard. It's going to be a traumatic 4 or 6 months. No matter how well you're prepared, luck is a major, major, major factor. Even if you are like a 5-star coder, if you don't have luck, you might not get placed in any of the companies. So even if you don't get selected in interviews, don't give up. Just keep trying. Don't compare yourself with your friends, because many of the times your friends will get placed before you, and then you keep feeling bad and get demotivated, and then you don't give it your 100% in the interview. So don't feel bad. Just give it your 100%. Surround yourself by positive people. Don't deal with toxic people who put you down for your progress. Don't deal with those kind of people. This is the time where you have to maintain a close but a good set of people who will support and encourage you, and even if they get placed, they won't rub it in your face. So surround yourself with good people and good energy, and just don't be too hard on yourself. Keep trying and prepare well in advance, and that's it. And just don't apply for all random A to Z companies. That's it. These are the most important things. All the best for your placements. Do well.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you for having me here.